you all for coming. Republicans, independents, Democrats, people who have never been involved in politics at all, Buddhists and Hare Krishnas, whoever's out there. Okay, this is kind of an open forum meeting that we're calling Meet the Speaker of the House, Bill O'Brien. So normally in our meetings we start off with a Pledge of Allegiance, so I'll please ask you to stand. I'll lead the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We usually start with a brief prayer. Bow your heads, please. Almighty God, thank you for bringing all the people in the town together today. Help us to work together to make things better for each and every person in the state and nationally, everywhere. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Just so that people in town know, we have a brand new organization called the New Boston Taxpayers Association. We have a website. You can click onto that. We're going to provide you with information, and it will show what the regular meetings are going to be. That's for everybody. That's for Democrats, Republicans, Independents, etc. So they have a handle on what's going on in their community, how their money is being spent. If they want any input, they'll be able to do so. I think, with no further ado, we'll get going. Today we have Bill O'Brien here, but I'm first going to introduce Pam Tucker. She's the Deputy Speaker of the House. This is Pam right here. And we also have the House Majority Leader, who is DJ Bettencourt, on my right. I'm going to allow Pam to introduce Bill O'Brien, the Speaker of the House. Once Bill speaks, I'll act as a moderator because we have some pre-written questions for people that don't like to stand up and ask the questions. Or we'll also call on people from the floor if perhaps they didn't write something down or suddenly they have a question. So, and it doesn't matter who you are, whatever the question is. We know Bill will take the flag. So, all right. All you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
First off, thank you all for having us here today. I come way over from the seacoast. I'm in Greenland, and it is quite a drive over here. I've got to say that going down Route 13, coming over here was quite a sight. I almost went off the road a couple times and didn't have to walk anyway. So it's a beautiful part of the state, and I'm honored to be able to be here, see another part of the state, and speak in front of you. I'm going to be brief. I'm just going to talk briefly about what we did in the last session. Many of you may have heard before, many of you know what's going on up there, and then some of the things moving forward that we plan on doing. I'm not going to steal everyone's thunder here. I know that DJ has a lot of things to say, and certainly Speaker O'Brien does as well. But when we started out our session a year ago, we've been in it for 1 year now, we made it very clear that we were going to change how we do government up in Concord. And that meant it wasn't going to be business as usual. You look at the budget, you raise it by 3%, and then we have to somehow find that money, be it raising taxes, fees, or some other way. We changed the course of that direction, and it started before many of our reps were even reps at that point. They weren't even inaugurated or made a pledge. Our Ways and Means Department started back in December of last year, 2010, when we were elected. They started working on what our revenue estimates were. And what they've done is give us the most accurate revenue estimates we've had in quite a few years. In fact, 2 or 3 years ago, New Hampshire was ranked near the bottom by the Pew Institute in terms of revenue projectors. We were always off by so far. This time, as of right now, we are off only $700,000 since July of last year when our new budget started. And that's basically, we're 1/4 of the way through it, and we're only $700,000 off of a $10 billion budget. I'd say they've done a really good job. And I think we should compliment our Ways and Means on that for doing such a good job. Part of that is when they gave us these accurate revenue estimates, is we said we were not going to raise any taxes or fees. Not only did we not raise any taxes or fees, we actually reduced some of the regulation that we have out there. We actually have 43 bills that have reduced some form of regulation, and we will continue to move in that direction as we move through the rest of this session. And I've got to say, this has been one of our most productive sessions that I've seen as I've been following politics virtually all of my adult life, of people actually living up to what they said they were going to do. And I'm very proud of being part of it. But we're not done. We still have another year to go, or half a year as we do the session. to say we do not want to raise taxes or fees. And one thing we talked about fees that you're not going to hear, I don't want to say mainstream, but in the media overall. What we've done in the past is when we pass a bill, we leave rulemaking, broad rulemaking authority up to the commissioners or whomever when we implement a law. They can make the rules as to how much the fees or fines are going to be on that. We took that away from them, and we said there's going to be no broad rulemaking authority, and it's written right in our rules. And any bill that has come through with that, I don't believe we've passed it. We've taken that away from the individual commissions to do that. And what that means is, although we pass the bill, they can't go and set a fee or a fine that we don't know about. As we continue forward in this next session, we're taking some of that, we're actually putting it into the statute as to how much the fees will be. And believe me, they're not going to be raised, they're going to be the same, or they will be less. I apologize, I don't have a big booming voice like DJ and but there's two things I do want to talk to you about that are specific legislative issues, and one I know we'll get into a little more depth. But the first one is, briefly, it's about redistricting. I just want to talk to you at the 20,000 feet. I'm not going to get into it into each town, and certainly not where New Boston is. I can tell you about Greenland, where Greenland's going to be, but I'm sure your local rep is Speaker Pam Tucker. I can tell you more about it. Every 10 years, and from the census, we have to do redistricting. Not just us, everybody across the nation does the redistricting. And it's a very important process that we are completing now. Well, what happened in 2002 is it went forward, the House and the governor couldn't agree, and so it went to the courts. And the courts basically did our redistricting in 2002 for us. And what they did at that time is they created 103 districts across the state. You're talking nearly 1.3 million people. There's 103 districts and 400 reps, because we have 400 reps here. So this created very large multi-town districts. And over my neck of the woods, you had 3 pretty big towns. They had 6 reps. And some of these towns could have stood on their own without necessarily having to be moved in with another town. So in 2006, we as the people of New Hampshire passed an amendment that said if the town can stand pretty much on its own, they should be grouped in with this bigger district. So fast forward to 2010. We again did the census 2012, coming forward with a new redistricting plan. And this is very important because this is how it's going to be in terms of the representation for the next 10 years. Now many plans have been presented. These people come forward for each town, each county. We do the whole state for our representatives, but we also do the congressional districts and we do the executive council districts and the county commissioners. The most important one that affects you probably is who is your representative going to be. And it's kind of like a big puzzle because you have all of these towns and they're not all exactly the same size. So how do you do it? Because you have a finite amount of reps you can have for the county and delineated by county lines. How do you do that? And I've got to say, I'm not going to get into the details of it here because it is really difficult, but the people that have been working on it have been working tirelessly on it, and they've been doing it for quite some time. So I guarantee you when the final plan comes out, it is the best plan possible that can be put forward for the people of New Hampshire. And you really can't do a lot of the gerrymandering that other states can do because there's 400 of us, and it's virtually driven by the numbers for the most part. If a town has 3291, which is the number, you get 1 rep. And if it's plus or minus that, again, I'm getting a little bit into the details here, then you have to adjust for that. Because we do have to follow the federal guidelines of 1 man, 1 vote. In addition to that, following federal guidelines, then we go to the state constitution, the state amendment of 2006, where we try and have them the smallest district possible. Now with that in mind, the current plan that's out there, and again, this is not final, this is still work in progress. We're going to go from 103 districts to over 200 districts for each of us. So you can have closer representation. And of that, of the number of single town districts that will be out there, it was 28 in 2002. We're looking at nearly 85 single district towns. Now again, it's all work in process, it's still going on, but again, it will be the best plan for your representation. And one other thing that I'll talk about, then I'll pass it on to DJ. This is something that's been on everybody's mind. And it caught my attention, as I'm sure it did yours. Voter fraud. This translates right into having voter ID or photo ID. And we've seen it online for years. Our governor and our opponents of my party have been saying, oh, there's no voter fraud up there. We don't need photo ID. And you know, I gotta say, with this coming up, I think they're a little bit out of touch. It can be done, and it is happening out there. This is an example of someone who proved that it happened. And we tried. We had Senate Bill 129 that the governor vetoed, and we didn't override it. And we're going to try again. I have co-sponsored with Senator Prescott a Senate bill that will address the voter ID bill once again. And I'm confident, now that we see it actually is happening, we have proof, that we will be able to pass this. And I hope you can support us on that. At this time, I don't want to steal all of their thunder. I am going to pass it over to Thank you.
GrokTV.